Wow. Deconverted man here. It is time to read some stuff. Oh, yes, things that will hurt your brain. Let me read the following. Yet our simplistic definition of racism as an intentional acts of racial discrimination committed by immoral individuals endures a confidence that we are not part of the problem and that our learning is thus complete. This chapter explains the two major challenges of talking to white people about racism are a limited understanding of socialization and simplistic understanding of racism. White people have been socialized to see that race matters, but not their own race. Specifically, the Western ideologies of individualism and objectivity make it difficult for white people to explore the collective aspects of white experience. Thus, collectively, white people do not see themselves in racial terms. Naming race, however, is a critical component of cross-racial skill building and is necessary in order to engage critically with the topic of race. Also, to increase racial stamina that counters white fragility, white people must reflect on the whole of their identities and the impact of being members of their racial group. Questions. What learning experiences required you to critically engage with the topic of race or racism? What is the impact? If you do not have any learning experiences to share, what do you believe would have been the impact? Number 2. What is the most uncomfortable to you when discussing race? Why? When did you first notice that talking about racism is uncomfortable? Number 3. Consider the key concepts identified in this chapter, which is socialization, individualism, and objectivity. Expand on your understanding of them and give specific examples about how any of the key concepts impacted your ability to discuss race and racism. Number 4, why are you implicitly or explicitly teaching students about racial norms? How do you know? Number 5, why is it important to integrate teaching about race and racism into your practice? What are the benefits and challenges? How can you meet those challenges? And number 6, how do you make the most of the information from this chapter as your role as an educator? Yes. Let's read some other stuff, shall we? Yes. Oh, I realize I'm not sharing my screen, so you might be a little bit confused where I'm getting this insanity from. I'm so glad you asked. You see, there's an educator's guide about this particular book that's out. Oh, yes. That's what I'm reading from. And this book... This book is great. You know, here let me just show you the book, because you need to know about it. Well, here's some other stuff. Whoops, I just shared the same thing. It looks like. Let me try again. I know what I'm doing. Isn't it fantastic? Okay, with decompress white fragility. Okay, so here are many things that you can learn about white fragility, which is the book that we're supposed to be reading in order to teach this class, I guess. Why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism. I don't know that it's hard. I think that I've heard lots of white people talking about racism all the time. Anyways, but, you know, I'm not going to read that book. So maybe it's unfair to read how to educate people on that book, since I'm totally not going to read that book. Instead, maybe I should turn to something like psychology. I'm sure that I will find nothing to be afraid of in psychotherapy. All right, white therapy as a racial subject. Do what now? It's unclear who wrote this and when and why. I don't know. By Margaret Kloss, whatever. Oh, jeez. Explore explore white privilege in the psychology profession. Oh, this is dumb. All right, it is unclear to me in what my personal history served as a catalyst to my awareness from a very young age of my pale skin, and to notice how simply because of accident of birth I was valued because of it. Oh, bleep. This doesn't sound like psychology. It sounds like your personal witnessing. It's like reading like why you became a Christian or something. Like pondering this now as I engage in my work, as I do so in the ongoing wider context of live documented radically motivated violence, murder, and xenophobic discourse. Oh, jeez. I wonder how psychotherapy and psychological thinking is useful or not to these realities perpetrating severe harm and death. Sitting with my white clients, I ponder sometimes aloud with them how race has shaped their lives, how it enters our therapy relationship, and notice how frequently with these reflections happen they move towards externalizing racial identity in people of color versus an exploration and understanding of white racial selves. It is a privilege of whiteness to not have to think of racial identity. The lack of needing to think is a privilege. The unconsciousness of whiteness and how it impacts the internal world and the external actions of my white clients and myself is one area of my interest. Well, that's just fantastic. I'm so glad I read that. I think I want to die now. Thank you. So, as a black therapist, you bring up during therapy race. So, if I went in there, I'm like, okay, hey, doc, good to meet you. Nice to know you. All right, so here's my problem. I have insomnia. Okay. Well, how is it that have you reflected upon how white you are? What? Huh? Wait, what? Yes, you're white. Yeah. I am. I know. So what? What does that have to do with anything? Well, you see, the fact that you're white and you haven't thought about it, that's what's keeping you up at night. What? No, it's what? You need to think about your whiteness. You're white. Start thinking about your race. I'm human. No, you're white. No, that's just the color. No, think about it. No, you can't think that way. You gotta. That's the whole problem. Is you don't see your race. So that's what makes you racist. Is you don't see your own race. What does this have to do about insomnia? Anyways, and then later on, you're like, isn't it interesting how my continuously bringing up the fact that you're white and race always enters into our therapy sessions? Why, isn't that interesting? It's like the thing that I bring up all the time keeps entering the therapy session. Why is that? I don't know. Yeah, you should be fired as a psychologist. Anyways, should I keep reading? I think I should, because it hurts my brain. It must mean it's true. Anytime my brain hurts, it's true. Our profession is concerned with multicultural competence. What? Despite that, our canons of psychological theory remain Eurocentric. Oh, fuck you in the asshole. Yet are largely assumed to be universal. Our assignment and diagnostic systems are based in the same vein. So this is So this is the whole social constructism in it that is seeped into many sciences. Okay, so that a white person invented this, therefore it's racist in some way. All the thinkers that thought about psychology in the early days were white men, and that's a bad thing. Oh no. Oh God. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, same. Let's see. Yeah. Well, they're used as guideposts in courts, law, prison, schools, medical venues. Research largely make assumptions of universality without qualification that population samples are overwhelmingly white, and delivery of services, even the culture of psychotherapy itself, remains white-centric. No, you're assuming that that's how it works. So, okay, fine. Stop complaining about it. Stop writing articles about it. Here's an idea. Go somewhere where there's lots and lots of black people and from scratch develop psychotherapy and psychology and psychiatry from scratch. Just do that, right? Then you'll be free of it. And you know what? I guarantee you'll get pretty much the same results. A lot of how things work is going to be universal across the board. But maybe not. But then, see, this is the trap, though, because if you went to Africa and you started studying to see if there was a difference in thinking or behavior in the brain there, and you tried to develop a program, I just know somebody be like, "Oh, you're being racist because you're harming the indigenous people and their way of thinking or some bullshit." Anyways, whiteness as the only representation of humanness is in the air, so to speak, of Western psychology. Really? Okay. So, well, do Eastern psychology. Is Eastern psychology different? Or is it the same? I don't know. Then, what's your solution? You don't have one. Anyways, something many writers, researchers, and psychotherapists of color have written upon. Yeah, okay, see the end of article for resources. And a few white authors have noted on as well. Dr. Gina Diarth, one among them. All right, here's my thing. And it's so funny because they complain about this as well. White people don't see in terms of race, and this is a problem apparently. Now, maybe it is a problem that you should adopt. If you also stop seeing everything in terms of race, maybe it wouldn't be a problem anymore. Maybe it's you that have the real problem here. It's just an idea. I can try to kind of see that, okay, because psychology deals with humans, so we're looking at what affects the most amount of people in terms of therapy. Well, the most amount of people in this particular region happen to be X color, so that means we're basing it on that. But then you're thinking that, what, different color skins think differently? Like, maybe? But how broad is it? How would you'd have to then focus solely on a certain color of skin and then see if they have anxiety or stress or whatever, and then how to treat that. But then the treatment's going to be it's still going to be what works for the most amount of them. You're still going to get the same results. It's like medicine. You're going to get the same results. This is so nonsensical. I guess if you want to really try, and I guess what she's trying to do is make the argument that if the majority is X, and X might think a different way than Z, and therefore you're helping X, but maybe you're not helping Z. And so what are we doing? It's like, well, are we helping this group or not? I don't, I mean, if you're gonna bring up race every 5 seconds with your patients, well, then just take black patients, I guess. Don't take any more white people if it's that big of a problem to you. I don't know. It goes on for quite some time. So what I note is none of this has any citations. None of this is proven to be a thing. It's just what I feel. It's just what I think. And some people have written about it, but others haven't. Maybe because it's not a thing. That it's really weird to me that it's a problem for this author, and the other one had the same problem, that white racial identity is I don't have a race. But shouldn't that be how we are? I mean, I'm human. That's it. You're human. The racist person is the one that judges based on the color of skin. That's what makes you racist. Is that you prejudge somebody based on the color of their skin. I don't do that. But it's the opposite. You're saying, no. You have to judge yourself based on the color of your skin and see how that affects you or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about? It doesn't, but it doesn't because you have privilege. It becomes this circular reasoning. Oh my word, it's so... white folks interested in what I'm writing understand that it's good to be anti-racist. I don't, but I don't even care. I just don't care. I don't view things as colors. I view things as humans fighting over petty differences that we have. But oh well, whatever. No white person I know wants to be bad. Man, that sounds racist. I mean, surely there's got to be at least one white person that wants to be bad, right? I mean, come on. Where's the bad guys? There's got to be at least one. All right. Let's see. The exploration of white racial identity. But there isn't one. You just said there isn't. Like, what if the identity is I don't have an identity? It's like, what's your worldview? I don't have one. No, that can't be a worldview. Everyone no, I don't. Sorry, it's not there. We do not integrate every aspect of clinical education. What? So, what? Other. Talking and thinking about racial identity and racism as a binary good-bad way is to ignore the complicated and uncomfortable parts. What the bleep does that mean? So there's good racial identity and bad? Like, maybe the whole thing is identifying yourself by your color of skin is bad. Or maybe like nationalism, like I'm proud to be an American. Like, maybe there's some good points to that. But maybe there's some bad points to that. And maybe if you take it too far is when it makes it really bad. So maybe you're taking this too far, and that's what's making this bad. Because this looks like nonsense to me. And if you're using this nonsense in your practice where you're trying to help people, and you're not helping them, perhaps, because none of this is based on anything other than what? A hunch? If there was studies that you had cited, if there was something here more than just this is, If we wait until we personally feel the social power of whiteness to validate the reality of it, nothing changes. What the hell does that mean? It sounds like it's like you're looking, so you're telling the white person to recognize that they're white and have that as a racial identity, and then but see that you, and then that's also a problem. So which is, it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's just okay, so let's see. Negative feelings related to prejudice span the spectrum of all these feelings. Okay. Discriminatory patterns, partner feelings along spectrum, violence. Considering individual racism, I think it's useful to reflect about where we are along these spectrums. It seems like you're obsessed with racism, like secretly everybody is racist at some level. No, jeez. Yep, yeah. There it is, right there. It is. It's exactly that. It's a practical awareness and accountability that can and should be should happen not just on the individual level, but on the group and society levels to help white folks learn and understand how racism permeates us all. Well, it doesn't. You know, this reminds me of very much is you all believe in God. Everyone actually believes in God. See this book here? It says everyone really believes in God. Therefore, everyone really believes in God. Everybody's really racist. You don't know that yet, but really, the thing is, you're only saying you're not racist because you're white. Now, first, accept that you're white. Secondly, see that being white, that there's a culture to being white. And then see that you're really racist. See, and also acknowledge that white people are really the ones that are super racist because they don't even have to recognize that they have a race. But I have to recognize that I have a race. Bottom line, white people bad, but that's not racist. Yeah, pretty much. This stuff is in education, as I already showed. It is read this book on white fragility. Here's how to teach it in class. Here's a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychotherapy talking about how she thinks about this stuff, like apparently all the time, and brings it up in her own words, brings up race when in therapy with. So again, if that's what she's doing, I hope she gets somebody says no, that's wrong, and gets her fired, because race, unless the patient brings that up as an issue, doesn't. You have to leave your ideology outside. You have to leave your belief outside. I tell my therapist I'm an atheist. I'm like, well, I don't believe in God. Here's how that works. Whatever, right? And if they were to like, well, of course there's a God, you know, blah blah blah, and we were to debate on it, and well, I'd be like, look, this guy needs to get fired because, you know, this is about me. You know, this is about what I need to talk about and how my brain works, right? And this stuff is getting more and more popular. The white privilege is color blindness, and that's bad. It's bad not to view yourself in a non-racial way. Wait a minute. This is the gal that wrote it? She looks... I mean... Aren't you white? Like, aren't you a white person? Oh, of course. Berkeley. Why am I not surprised? She specializes in the treatment of trauma, addiction, and living with cancer. So they come in with cancer. It's like, yeah. Have you considered how being white gives you privilege? I'm dying! What the fuck? What is wrong with you? She can be reached through her website. Well, I'm not gonna. I'm tempted, but nah, I'm not gonna. Nah, maybe I. I mean, well, I could be like, "Are you insane?" I don't know, but yeah. So I'm so done with this. So thanks. I hate it. So I've somebody had mentioned these things and their things. Racial identity politics, whatever you want to call us, critical race theory, all this stuff. Why am I talking about? Because it's illogical. It has the same underlying motifs that I've seen in religion. It's everybody is X. Everybody believes in God. Everybody is racist. Here's my story of how I started to think about this. Here's my story of how I realized that the world was flat. Now, there's similar motifs there. Maybe you think that I'm a raging racist, that I have so much privilege, blah, blah, blah. And, okay. But I can kind of try to see some of these points being possible, but then you would need a study. So put your money where your mouth is and set up a study, say in Africa or somewhere where there's a lot of not white people. Maybe, I don't know, China. There, unless that's, white. I don't know, whatever. And see what sort of therapy helps people. But to build that system from scratch, it's going to take lifetimes, not just one lifetime, but several. And I strongly suspect you'd wind up with the same system, but maybe not. Who knows? But if you're not willing to do that, what are you saying? You're saying there's a problem here, and I'm pointing it out, but I'm offering zero solutions. By the way, also, I'm not proving that it's actually a problem. I'm just saying it's a problem. Yes, the motif is that race is beyond just being, I see you and I judge you based on the color of the skin, but it's actually about power, how much power somebody has, as if that could be measured, right? So I don't know what to make of any of this. I don't know. I just know nonsense when I see it. All I can do is complain about the nonsense. What good am I, right? So logic. How can we use logic? Where's the logical argument for any of this? That's a good start. There wasn't any. There was no documentation of any of this. As far as here's a demonstration that group B that have, let's say all these black skin color people respond to therapy differently than white skin people. Then you would have something to show. Then you'd say, okay, now I have identified that there's a problem, right? You're using the exact same therapy, right? Then if it's true that it's white European based and that's a problem because maybe it's not going to help them, well, maybe it's not. I don't know. But then demonstrate that that's true. There surely there'd be data already on this, but wouldn't it be worthwhile exploring yourself, doing the research, instead of just thinking that this might be a problem or buying into the idea that it's a problem? Wouldn't you want empirical evidence of this? Wouldn't you want a repeatable test of this? Wouldn't you want a valid and sound argument for this? We don't have any of that at all, not even a little. I think that the only way moving forward, obviously, is because now they have essentially said that saying that race doesn't matter is racist. Therefore, focus on your race. And by the way, you're racist. Then there's no way moving forward because you can't reason with that person. They've made everybody racist by default. So I say, okay, fine, I'm racist. And what's your argument? So what? That's it. That's all I can do. That's all I can think to do is just say, yeah, okay. And what's your point? I'm all the words. Whatever words you want, I'm all of them. Whatever insults you want, I'm all of them. But if everybody is racist, then there's nothing to be done about it, is there? And the other thing is, like, you have to realize that you're racist. Oh, you don't know that you're racist until you realize it. That sounds like religion to me. It sounds like indoctrination, and it sounds absurd. I know my focus on this channel is usually religious stuff, and but this is important too, because I will try to discuss critical race theory more in depth. I don't know how well I can do it, but I will try my best because there is an abysmal bunch of illogic here. And that's my focus, has been logic. I want us to use logic. I want us to learn logic and understand logic and to utilize it. I only see you as a human, and I'm being told I have to see myself because of as a white guy rather than just a guy. I'm deconverted man, not deconverted white man. And I don't want to think about people in that way. And if that's racist, then hell, I guess I'm racist then, even though it's not racist in my view, but whatever. I wish I had a satisfying conclusion to this, but I guess I don't. Let me know your thoughts on any of this. I provided the 3 links in the description of this. Read through those, talk about them, discuss, tell me what you think about anything that was said in any of that. If you have stuff to say about this and want to make a video, great. If you don't have a channel to host it on, you want to host it here, I'll do that. I'll have you here. If you want to talk to me about it or whatever, we'll do that. And, my friend Skeptic Skeleton and I talked about some, stuff like this on his channel. So maybe I can have him on to talk about this sort of stuff again. I don't know. Any rate, I don't know. Do logic, and let's just try to be the best sort of people that we can be and identify the fallacies when we see them. The fallacy here would be lack of an argument, I suppose. There was no anything substantive to anything that I read to you guys and girls and robots here. So thanks for listening. We'll be back later. Maybe not today, but at some point, and we'll be returning to the quote, not enough quotes in the universe, quote, skeptic course, where I will lose my mind. See you then.